we first built content that enables our customers to do their best work. And we realized that we could actually do that in this new world and really focus on upskilling to deliver the content and experience our customers needed.
Welcome to Virtually Live by Kaltura. In this podcast, we'll try to sum up all the latest and greatest in marketing, and specifically in event marketing. To help us do that, we've invited prominent marketing and business leaders to share their most important lessons and give their best predictions for the coming years. In this week's episode, EVP Business Development at Kaltura, Liad Ashkar, speaks to the head of event and field marketing at Atlassian, Angela Smith, about what it was like being one of the first companies to host a virtual event. She'll also be talking about upskilling herself and her team to deliver the content and experience that our customers needed.
Hi everyone, my name is Liad. I'm heading Kaltura's Business Development and Strategic Partnerships, and today I'm coming to you virtually live from the Bay Area. We have a phenomenal guest with us today, Angie Smith, who is the head of Experiential and Field Marketing at Atlassian. I have to say that personally, I'm very happy to have Angie here, and I'm a big fan of Atlassian, following their co-CEOs, Mike and Scott, for a long time, and their vision to build amazing products that users love. Angie. Hi.
Hi, Liad. Hi, everyone. I'm actually coming to you virtually live from the state with 300 days of sunshine a year. And today it's a nice sunny 88 degrees in Arizona. So I'm glad to be here with you.
Thank you so much for coming to our session today, Angie. And you're not only coming from Atlassian, you have over 20 years of experience in events and marketing. Can you tell us a little bit about, your work at Atlassian and a little bit about yourself, maybe?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So yeah, I'm a 20 plus year industry veteran, mostly in tech, both on the brand and the agency side. And in my time, I've seen two major event shifts, 2008 with the economy tank, and events canceling left and right all around the world. And then, of course, 2020, a global pandemic. I kind of feel like it was the same, but obviously different. And, these have become times where you sift out the creative pioneers from let's just fight the obvious in my industry. And I'm actually feeling really grateful to work for what I think most marketers call the marketing Shangri-La here at Atlassian, because we're a company with an incredible reputation, not just in the tech space, but we have a high level of appreciation for experimentation and the test and learn mentality. So in the experiential design space, that's like winning the lottery, I like to say. And so as you said, specifically, I run the experiential event and field marketing teams, supporting all of our customer engagement, lead, and pipeline acceleration events.
That's really amazing, Angie. And it's a good segue to our first question. And let me take you, I think it was a year and a half back, when the pandemic started and you had your biggest events of the year planned already 40 days ahead, which was only 18 business days. And you're one of the first, I think, industry leaders that ran your event fully virtual at the time. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience then and, the challenges that you had with the transition?
Yeah, Liad, I have to say that, being one of the first companies was a bit gut-wrenching, if I'm being honest. Having to push out the final decision that not only hundreds of Atlassian and partners had been working hard on for over 10 months, but that thousands of our customers were counting on. Us to help them be more productive in their business was pretty emotional. So that's why we still marched forward having, our first digital experience in 2020. And I think back in 22 of the 30 people that I communicated with most in my day-to-day event business, they lost their job in March of 2020. And they literally didn't know where they were going to get money to pay their mortgage or send their kids to school or pay salaries for their employees. And, honestly, I had survivor's guilt for months, and on some days still feel like it rears its ugly head. But how we handled it was really, how I personally handled it was asking myself a few simple questions. And that was, how do I take care of my employees? What do our customers need from us that's actually within my control? And what can my team do to live one of our core values here at Atlassian, and that's around be the change you seek, to support our customers and ourselves for that matter. So the answer might have been hard to digest, but simple to solve in many ways. So, we first built content that enables our customers to do their best work. And we realized that we could actually do that in this new world, the beginning of the new world. And the second thing we did was really focus on upskilling, not just myself, but my team to deliver the content and experience our customers needed right then.
I want to dive in a little bit more into the company's culture and DNA. And I know that, from what we read, Atlassian is a very digital first and data-driven company. How was that aligned with the strategy to move physical events into virtual or digital experiences with your team?
Yeah, well, at the time that all of this happened, and still today, our first priority has been our people and our customers. So we didn't have any misalignment. And you talk about how our company is driven with digital first, and I mentioned one of our values in the last round, but everything that we do is around 4 written values and kind of 1 unspoken. And the first being open company, no bullshit. We told our customers how it was, how we were feeling, and we wanted them to share that same back with us. The other is, pardon me, don't F the customer. We want to make sure that, we are always taking care of them first. And be the change you seek, as I mentioned, is another. And finally, build with heart and balance. And really what that means is measure twice and only cut once. So those values, along with what I said at the top of the call about having a high tolerance for that test and learn, were really wonderful breeding ground to try new kinds of digital experiences, to see what would work. And I think that working for a company that enabled all of that, over the last 19 months, we have something really special that we've been able to deliver on since then.
That's amazing. They say that every time when you mention the word KPI, a unicorn is created. So let me create another unicorn. Yeah. Just ask you a little bit about, your outcomes of the events. How did you measure them? It seems to be there are some things that are probably similar or different to measure physical events versus virtual events. So I would love to hear more about that and your perspective on, on measuring and success and how to measure that overall.
Yeah, so we started out with that first pivot time in the 18 business days, where our primary objective for the virtual event was, delivering key Atlassian messages to engage with our customers and, to help them reach their goals. At the same time, it was to establish Atlassian as a thought leader. So besides the typical increase in registration numbers, we were on the front end of it, so people weren't exhausted yet. But a year later, when we delivered that same program in this new world, it needed to be less about the number of people that showed up. It needed to be more about the quality of people that showed up. So while we're still measuring conversion rates and, targeting the kinds of domains and companies we want there, we want the right people there, and we want to deliver the right content. We're still today measuring, although sometimes I bang my head against the wall, around the average number of minutes people spend in our platform, which, I'm sure we could all argue about that. But in our first instance, people spent over 200 minutes per person in our platform, which I don't know about you, but I don't go to a conference and spend 200 minutes today. I'm exhausted after 30. So it's nice that we're doing tidbits of content here together with this conference. But over time, we're just continually trying to measure the right people showing up, the content that they're engaging in, that we are increasing their average of views and time they're spending. And that overall, that our average session engagement and score, we score out of a 1 to 5, is at least a 4.4 or higher. And, we've learned a lot in the last 19 months, and we've certainly gotten better at that. On the other hand, we measure sales and pipeline contributions. And what's interesting, in our first instance, 19 months ago, 60% of our attendees coming to one of our virtual experiences, had an active Salesforce engagement that we were working on. And 79% of our attendees resulted in growth opportunities, expand opportunities. And our coverage, our breadth of coverage of the number of countries that we could represent in this world, have grown exponentially. Like, we have 150 plus countries engaging with us now, whereas before, it's 25, 26 in a single event. So over time, we're getting better at it, but, typically measuring very similar things.
Yeah, and I think that the last point was for me very, very important. Like the fact that you can run the content once and then rebroadcast it in different time zones, and also localize it to different languages, and be able to really cater your content to different people that's sitting in their homes and not able to join to the physical event, but still can enjoy all the latest and greatest content. I think it's a key point and a big difference in the world, in the digital experience world that we are at today. And my next question to you, Angie, is more about your strategy. Over the past 18 months, your team has done more than almost 600 digital experiences across the globe. Has anything been changed in your strategy towards those events comparing to the years before?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, we learned a key lesson, as I'm sure many people watching have been, is that over-programming in a digital environment is easy to do because that's what you are used to doing. So in our first instance remote summit of 2020, which was March of 2020, we didn't go in thinking it was a 1-to-1 ratio from in-person to digital, but we didn't pare it back enough. And today we've learned a lot about paring back the programming of our content to probably like 25% of what it would have been in a live instance. So, digital fatigue is real. So that is something that is, a new baseline for what we do moving forward. Everything is much more interactive, much more engaging, and much more trying to find the ability to upskill people in lab environments digitally so that they have, stakes in the game and can get involved. But outside of that, I think the biggest learning on our portfolio is really around keeping it simple. We have identified tiers of our program where we have strategic events, we have field events, we have demos, and we have webinars. And if it doesn't fit into one of those 4 categories, we just don't do it. And we pay a lot of attention, and something that we've learned is about segmenting our customers and making sure that we're not tapping on them more than we would want to be tapped on ourselves. So our portfolio has changed a lot to be more digital, but it's actually gotten really fine-tuned about the kind of content that will work best in a digital environment versus the kind of content that now will go after in person and live next year.
Yeah, and I think that the challenge that you've mentioned in creating magnificent events and branded events, but from the other hand, keep it simple and also be able to scale and allow the event managers to do things themselves in a very simple way is challenging. And I think that the way that you did it at Atlassian is very impressive from my experience over the last period. Going back, like the team was mostly focused on physical events, and then I'm sure that there was quite a significant of a challenge to onboard the same team members to a new experience in a digital environment. Can you just tell us a little bit about that in your view on building the right team for digital?
I don't know about you, but my team is exhausted, including myself. They're each doing a job that they actually didn't apply for. They didn't train for it before taking it, and oftentimes they're put into roles that for them kind of aren't interesting. However, we focus on the fact that we all got a mini MBA in the last 19 months, one that required a new business plan that changed a lot, a new financial model, and acquired skill sets, to become digital marketers, not event marketers, from SEO, web development, performance marketing, demand gen, segmentation, digital video media, analytics, marketing funnel, audience acquisition, and we all had to stay and keep a lot of empathy and agility, right? Learning all of that. That wasn't a part of the event marketer's job before. I have former event managers who did, BEOs with hotels for special events, and they're now running marketing campaign strategies and paid marketing programs and building content strategies. And it's actually just been a beautiful thing to watch. And, I sort of say, like, it's a good thing that I've always thought of myself as a student of life, because this has provided all of us that's, are open to it and willing an opportunity to upskill and, create a new path for ourselves in the future. I honestly feel like we all need to claim the fact that we're digital marketers now. And I feel pretty proud of it that my team has done mini rotations to learn everything that I mentioned. And they're doing a pretty kick-ass job.
Wow, it's really, really impressive, this transition. And I always, when I hear such stories, my heart, is really with those people that reinventing themselves in a way, at certain time of their careers. I'm sure that you had to hire new team members and build the capacity for your team. I'm sure that it was also different than building the capacity for a physical event management team. Like, how did you handle that? Did you involve any data or statistics to making those hiring decisions on your team?
Yeah, I mentioned one of our core values earlier, build with heart and balance. It's about measuring twice and only having to cut once. I mean, we use data to make every single decision at Atlassian. And probably not unlike every single tech company, you and I are fans or watching or voyeurs of. But, we're using it, and at the same time, we are open to having a better understanding of what our new customers need and want. Because the customers today are actually different than they were 2 years ago. So the data that we have is somewhat old and dated, and we need to be super agile. I mean, my team works with agile methodology. We have We have weekly sprints, we do stand-ups. We're constantly, making changes. But I think that, having the ability to work for a company that has the tolerance and, and are not really risk adverse, they really open that. We've been really lucky to use the data of years past, but also test and learn and get a better understanding of what the world, our customers, and our people are like now.
Yeah, and I think that Agile in general is an amazing tool. I've been using it for many years with my team as well, and that I know that Atlassian is big fans, and using your tools as well as part of that methodology is I think amazing. So before we break, we have time for one last question, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future. On your planning for 2022. I'm sure that in some of the regions, some of the events will probably get back to physical. What's your view on that? Like, how are we going to approach virtual versus physical experiences over the next year or so, and how you're going to plan and execute it, within Atlassian?
Yeah, I think I have a couple of thoughts. One being, I really hate the word virtual events. I feel like we've all upskilled and earned the title of being digital marketers. So my team is all about creating digital experiences in the future, and where it makes sense to do those live interactions as well. But we're keeping it pretty simple here. We're now modern marketers, which includes being digital marketers. And live events for us will actually start back in the spring of 2022, but they're going to be smaller. And they're, potentially going to be more regionally based. And, third-party events and sponsorships to We'll always have to include a speaking slot. We're not going to do a digital booth only moving forward. We've learned enough in the process, but we will absolutely lean a significant amount into digital experiences moving forward, way more so, even though we were thinking about it a long time ago than we ever have. But my crystal ball doesn't have a percentage on where that will weigh, but I see over time we'll all be doing a lot more digital than we will in person.
Absolutely, absolutely. Angie, thank you so much for coming here today. And thank you for everyone who were here with us listening, and hopefully it was beneficial for you. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining. If you like what you heard, please subscribe below for more episodes. We'll see you next week when Kaltura's Senior Director of Education, Ira Gluck, speaks to Jennifer Reagan-Four, ISTI's Chief Experience Officer, and their Senior Director of Event Logistics, Stephanie Arnold, as they talk about how to apply the insights learned from the past 2 years to upcoming virtual events.